All right. Welcome everyone here and in the future. If you're watching a recording of this, we're still very glad to have you here with us. So NextGEN North America is the name of our organization, and it is a lot of words, and each of those words means something. So my hope in this presentation is to break it down into 3 sections, and to start with just giving you background on what is this Global Ecovillage Network that we are one really radiant facet of. So kind of the large-scale global picture, and then come down in the next part to talk about how our organization runs and what opportunities we have and how our sociocratic governance works. It'll still be fairly quick, but it'll give you just an understanding of what the dynamics are like within our team. And then my third section will be about how you can get involved more with like next steps. So if you hear an internship you're excited about, it can be the next step you can take to apply for that internship, or how to become a daisy and a follower. So 3 sections. I'm going to start with just a little bit of background about GEN, the Global Ecovillage Network. I think it's interesting to know about the origins of it, so that you can kind of know what the spirit of GEN has been since the beginning. It basically, with 2 of the founders, Hilder and Ross Jackson, were during the 60s, were just passionate about finding out the root of human nature. Like, are we fundamentally egocentric people who want to be alone and optimize our own resources? Or are we fundamentally beings that radiate at our best when we're in community and in harmony with others? And so they traveled the world and spent a lot of time in kibbutz in Israel and Oroville in India and around Europe, and just kind of exploring this intellectual philosophy in practice. And they definitely found that people are at their highest vibrancy when they're in community. And so once they discovered that, they wanted to help the community's movement become a little bit more of a movement, right? And so they wanted to do more research. And so they worked with all the Denmark and Norway and started to create more, and scientists to get more data on what the various possible collaborations of villages could look like in the modern world. And then they presented this to the UN with this idea of, you know, eco-villages living together isn't just like some cool, like, peripheral idea. Like, this is something that really might be part of a political government future. And so they created this report at the UN. And it got some ground and it got some traction. People were hearing it. And so then in the early 90s, they bought a community in Denmark, and it was the World Education Institute, I think, something along those lines. And that's where they more formalized their global eco-village research. And this all culminated then in 1995 at Findhorn Ecovillage, which is definitely one everyone should look into. We have some friends who live there, and I know plenty of people who've been there, and it's kind of one of the gold standards of the global ecovillage movement. And there they had a conference in 95 where 400 people came from 40 different countries, and 300 more people wanted to come. And that's when they got the idea. It was titled Sustainable Communities of the 21st Century. And so many people came with so much passion. And that's when they realized this ecovillage idea was something that the whole world was really passionate about. And so after that conference is really the seed of the GEN that we know now. So that's when they decided, let's create a global network of regional networks. Let's create this global interconnected allies of people who are doing networking within their own watershed, state, and country. And then let's also formalize eco-village education. Like, eco-villages are a thing that science can look into, and eco-villages can share one another's research on how to make people live and work together. And so if we can formalize eco-village education, then that can expand the potential of people living together in the modern world. So that's the birth. And now if you fast forward from 95 till today, it's been around for over 20 years, and you'll see we have about 10,000 community projects And you'll see on this map is more about 1,000 or a little less than 1,000 of actually community projects where people are living together. So sometimes they're more like NGOs and people are working towards a shared goal but not living together, but we still have hundreds around the world where people are actually living together and working towards their goal, which is the true eco-village. So now if we switch to the NextGen part of our name, this was born in 2006. So kind of 10 years after Gen really got started, there was another conference at Findhorn, and the youth had the energy of wanting to have more say. It's always after 10 years, you get a little bit crusty, and people who have power keep having power, and you start to lose some of the vibrancy, and there was a lot of young people needing to take over these communities that their parents had started, or wanting to start their own community and wanting to keep it alive with whatever the new energy was. And so now NextGen started, and that's specifically for people kind of 18 to 35 who are in the communities movement and is part of Gen, but also very much autonomous within its own governance. And so we have 5 regions, and as you can see here, these are the 5 regions. We have NextGENNA in North America, Casa Latina down in South America, Gen Africa, Genoa, which is Southeast Asia and Australia, and Gen Europe, which is the original one. And so then each of these also has their NextGen branch. And we all work together through, we share some funding, we share grants, we meet every month to work on our various projects and give advice. We also work on a lot of projects together, whether we host the larger conference and find funding to fly people from, if some regions want to come to the European conference, we can often find ways to get funding for people to go to the Europe conference. And then we also host these webinars where speakers from Africa can talk to people building eco-villages in Australia and do this intercultural collaborations. So it's a pretty cool network to be a part of, and definitely a lot of in-person and virtual collaborations. So now we get to the more refined, now we're at NextGen. So remember, Gen's the Global Ecovillage Network. NextGen is the youth branch of the Ecovillage Network, and NextGen North America is us. And that is particularly Canada and the United States. Since Mexico primarily speaks Spanish, they're more part of Casa Latina, because that's predominantly Spanish speaking. But we also want to represent Quebec, so being French speaking is excellent, and we're very pro French and English and Spanish collaboration. So definitely all languages welcome who want to show up. We have been 3 to 6 core members for the past 5 years, but we feel like now with our governance and our pattern, we have things really flowing, so we're ready to grow to probably at least 10 people. And it's an incredible organization to be part of because we have so much flexibility. We aren't really told what to do by some top-down boss or board. We're definitely, as long as you're an eco-village enthusiast and you read our mission statement, we can really manifest any projects we see that fit within the goal of inspiring the youth eco-village network. And we're also mostly funded through, we have some grants and donors, and for our events, we have ticket prices. So right now, just because I'm the financial manager, I like to be transparent about money. I feel like it's an important part of sociocracy as well. We run at about a $3,000 budget a year, and that'll probably be shifting in the coming years, but that's $3,000 that we put towards trainings and small team stipends and event ticket costs and travel to team gatherings and materials for our presentations. So it's a small amount of money, but we make it go a long way. So you can get a feel for what projects we're working on, because we do so much. Just to get a feel for, these are the kind of things that we've been working on till now and will be working on this next year, is hosting Ecovillage Pathways 2020, which is going to be themed Healing in Community. I'll talk more about that later, but it's basically a 4-day event with about 40 people. And we also teach at ecovillages, doing presentations on, we also do ecovillage presentations at festivals and at conferences and at communities. So there's any team member who's passionate about some gathering, we can find a way to get you there, and then you can teach a little bit about ecovillages. We also are looking forward to this year really enhancing the online community, because we know there's a lot of people around North America that can't come all the way to the East Coast for our event, or can't take 4 days off of work, or aren't going to be at this festival and still want to learn about ecovillages. And so we're going to, this next year, really be fostering this online teaching community. And then we also will be doing a lot of our own trainings to skill ourselves up. You know, the theme healing and community, we're definitely going to get trainings in nonviolent communication and more emotional connecting tools, and even things like gift economy. And so there's a lot of ways in which our Ecovillage Pathways project ends up leading towards the team needing to get training so that we can facilitate that event to its fullest. And of course, we have our annual retreat, which is so much fun. We met at Eastbrook Commune in New York State in October, and it's just like 4 days for us to get to work together and dream and volunteer, and that'll be another highlight of next year. Thank you for your patience so far. So as I mentioned, we don't have a lot of, no one's gonna do this to like pay their rent and buy a new car. You know, it's not why you would join NextGen. And so there is the question of, why do we do this? And during our team retreat, we came up with these together and drew them together. And one of them is just for ecovillage education. You know, this is definitely, if you want to learn more about ecovillages, getting to host events and host webinars and go to communities and talk with the global network of ecovillage builders. I mean, a lot of people who have started some of the most pivotal, profound, impactful communities around the world are just an email away and are eager to work on webinars with us. And so you'll really get to immerse with some of the tribal wisdom of the global movement. We also have had folks shift into creating a career out of community building. And so NextGen is a great way to talk with people who have created a career, whether it's consulting or starting a community, or there's so many ways to really build your entire life around ecovillages. And so NextGen can help you see that by meeting others who have done that. It's also a great way to find your place, because we do travel a lot. We have a lot of opportunities for you to visit different communities as more than just a guest. You know, you can visit really as a representative of the Ecovillage Network, and communities really appreciate learning that there's so many other communities trying to do this, and you can be an ambassador bringing wisdom and networking. And then of course, we do give some fiscal support, because sometimes like that $200, you know, to help you take that training that you've been willing to take, we give you that $200 that just pays for a part of it. That's the little nudge you need to finally take that training. And so it's not a lot, but we can leverage our money really, really effectively. And of course, the octopus here in the corner was to trust in the collective emergence, which is just the magic of working with a group of passionate people. And out of that emerges incredible projects. All right, so now I'm going to shift to the next section, which is more about how our organization runs. On this slide, I would imagine at first, it looks fairly chaotic. But our organization is, since we run sociocratically, this is kind of a fundamental flow chart for a sociocratic organization. And each of these groups is called a circle. So in the middle, we have the general circle, and then you'll see on in the top, there's a GENNA Alliance. That would be a GENNA Alliance circle, Ecovillage Pathways circle, Youth Council circle. And that's what each of the kind of the subgroups are called. So just for sociocratic lingo, I'm going to use that phrase. And we're going to go through each of these circles so you can find out how you can join them. And so the general circle, currently the general circle is myself and Audrey and Leah, who's not here, but it's an extraordinary community ecovillage builder, and Cynthia. So Cynthia, some folks might have known, she was kind of pivotal in founding NextGEN North America, and has since moved on. She's definitely a shining star example of creating an ecovillage career. She's now on the Federation or Fellowship for Intentional Communities board. She's on the GEN board, and she's currently living between communities in Slovenia and Vermont. So she's, through NextGen, she really launched into creating an eco-village career, and she joins our general circles more as an advisor when we need. So the general circle is not like a board, you know, where we're giving dictation to what everyone else should do. The general circle is a lot more like a watering hole where all the other circles can send representatives and give updates on how their circles need support or have opportunities or need more hands or more money. And so that's a spot where the general circle can make those decisions collectively and help the organization move together as one unit. But these folks don't necessarily have more power than anyone else. And so right now, an opportunity for you to join on the general circle is as the coordinator intern. So a lot of the internships are nice because they're very specific, small roles. And through that role, you'll be able to join the team and get to attend meetings and get to feel more of the heartbeat of the organization. And so, for example, the coordinator intern is going to be sending out meeting reminders to everyone about when the meetings are, sending out the correct Zoom links, logging the decisions that are made during the meetings, keeping the Google Calendar up to date. And so it's a job that doesn't take many hours per week, but gives you a lot of access to everything that's going on in the organization and is incredibly helpful for us because every extra minute we have to be doing logistics and trying to run the organization can just can wear on our energies. So the coordinator intern is a precious part of the team, and we would love to bring someone on there. Now we go back to the full diagram. We just went over the general circle. We're now going to head over to Ecovillage Pathways in the top right there. Ecovillage Pathways, just to say a little bit more about what it is, because it's really like, it's the cornerstone of our organization. When people ask what we do, I would say it's the most consistent thing that I say that we do. And it's really meant to be a community for 4 days. It's not just a conference. It's a chance for you to get to live in a community for 4 days, which I know some other folks on this call, like Stephanie, have done incredible work hosting similar events to this. And so I'm just so glad you can be here. But our event got this mix of heart-based connection, presentations, also has some fun, acro yoga and dance. We do work at the community, a lot of getting to learn about permaculture and gardening, and then also a space for people to bring their challenges with community. So it's an open forum for you to learn about community and also bring all of your problems with community and even your fellow communards and really have it be a space for healing and solutions too. So that brings me to our Ecovillage team, which is where I get to introduce Leon again, who is our kind of one of our newer interns and is our Ecovillage inspirer. So I would love for Leon to get to share for a minute about what it's like for him in the past two plus months you've been on the team.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Leon. I enjoy working on a team. So when I got on a team, we have all these, I first met Audrey when she came over to Ghana's. So she came over to Ghana's to talk about ecovillages. And that's when I learned about ecovillages for the first time. So that's how I first got interested in the idea of ecovillages. And and I also met Thumbs in Twin Oaks. So Twin Oaks has a conference, and he gave this workshop on being a nomad and traveling from community to community. And I just thought, like, I want to be around these people who are inspiring and just to be a part of a team that they're working at a different level. So what I'd say about NextGENNA is that NextGENNA is it's a teal level organization. So it's working to there's like different levels of organizations. A lot of organizations now, they have, as like what Thumbs was talking about, top-down authority, trying to control things. operating out of fear, right? So NextGen is operating from a level of looking at everyone's personal growth, looking at into everyone's heart and channeling that, looking at how everyone can plug in using their greatest strengths. And so it's trying to operate at this abundant level of abundance. And so you can really feel this kind of energy. So when we get together, we have these team meetings. We operate, the business stuff is done at a very different way. So when we're doing this, we have things like we're drawing pictures, like you saw the pictures that we saw earlier. We're drawing pictures to demonstrate what kind of energy we want to bring into the team, right? And also collectively into the team. We are also like doing heart circles. We're sitting around in a circle. We're talking about our feelings, right? And we use these exercises that are used in the psychological literature. So things that are shown to really deepen and strengthen relationships. A lot of things that organizations, they don't do, right? A lot of organizations, they ignore this stuff. They don't think it's important. They think it's in a way, but actually it makes a much more productive working environment. So, and so that's my experience. It's also experience. We have these team retreats. So we go to Eastbrook. We went to Eastbrook Farm in upstate New York. We went to Vermont. So, there's a great community there called the Center for Transformational Practice. So again, you get to meet these different communities and you get to talk with them. So we went over there to Center for Transformational Change, and the thing is about creating events around social justice issues. And so we went to one of their events and it was fantastic. And also, yeah, aside from meeting in person, we have all these online meetings too, and you get to meet people from around North America, and there are people who really want to make a difference. They really want to bring something new into the world in terms of eco-villages and another way of organizing human society. And you get to know more about the community's community, the broader community's community. And the great thing is it's actually a small community, so you get to know like people who are part of FIC and such as the people who create the Communities magazine and what's going on there. So it's like you feel like you're part of this higher thing, but with a smaller group of people. So that's basically what I want to share about how it's like.
Thank you so much, Leon. You're radiating so much love and gratitude towards you. Yeah, I'm just glowing in a moment of gratitude right now. I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. So if you want to join this team, with Leon's going to be with us until the event, and as I mentioned, Leah and Audrey and myself. I actually first joined NextGen a few years ago as the participant coordinator intern. And so we have that position is still available, and that position is just taking in, whenever you host an event. I don't know if anyone here has experience with hosting anything where you're not necessarily just inviting your friends, but once you host an event with a lot of new people, everyone sends questions via email, like, oh, can I bring my dog? And can I bring my 10-year-old kid? And can I get a discount? And if I come late on Friday night, is that all right? And it's like, there's myriad ways that people just want all these little answers. And so having one person who's just a point person for taking in those emails, giving direct answers back, making sure everyone's paid and has lodging, it's just kind of really, you're the interface between the participants and the organizers. And so I really enjoyed that role years ago, and that role is available again. It'll be starting more in February, because Ecovillage Pathways 2020 is going to be in Belfast, Maine, pretty near Quebec. We'd love to have some Quebecers there, at the Belfast Ecovillage. And so it's going to start in June. So the opportunities to be an intern are going to start more like in February. Then another one is as the Northeast Bumblebee. So we have a lot of loving names for everyone, and so bumblebees, which we currently have a bumblebee, is anyone who's just getting the word out about NextGen. And that can be going to your acro yoga class and letting your other students know about ecovillages and what NextGen does. Going to a festival and being like, hey, I can teach a workshop about ecovillages. It's just being a person to spread the word through the networks that you already move through and are a member of. And this one in particular, it's for the Northeast. So it's a person to go to all the food co-ops of the Northeast and go to other gatherings of the Northeast. And really, we do the Facebook stuff and the social media is great for marketing, but we really love to also prioritize people getting to just share in person and build up participants through in-person marketing, which is basically just like making friends. So the next circle that we'll be going over, see the general circle again. So we went over general, we went over eco-village pathways. We're now going to move on to the youth council. And I can pass the mic over to Audrey now, who is kind of our youth council rep.
Okay, so the youth council is a circle with 2 reps from each NextGen region. So you saw that we have 5 regions at Gen: Africa, Europe, CASA, which is like Latin America, and Gen North. So 2 people of each of those regions get together once a month on a call to talk about the issues that touch all the regions. Like right now, things we're talking about are how do we get people organized in self-organized team all over the world to work with the different projects that come out of Gen for the youth. And there's a campaign, a fundraising campaign that's happening. And so like, do we want to be part of that or not? Are we getting our share of that money? And so questions that really touch everybody. And there's a lot of things to do in that circle. So that's it.
Yeah, I can follow. That one is for everyone on this call. The opportunities for the youth council are mostly once you are a core team member. So we'll talk more about your progress through joining NextGen, but it's mostly once you're a core team member, then you really get to tap into the joining the global team as well. Back to our full circle. So now we've done eco-village pathways and youth council, and now we're going to jump onto the left side into the outreach. And so outreach is a beautiful team. So you'll see once again Audrey, who does an incredible amount of stuff on the team. You'll see her picture again and again. And Leia, we're obviously all big fans of chickens. This is both of our chicken photos. And Martai, who's also surrounded by chickens in this photo. He's in the bottom left picture. But his face is just so stunning. It outshined the chickens in his case. And on the right, you'll see Becky Miller, who lives at a community in Burlington and is also part of the outreach team. And so the outreach team does a lot with both digital work through the Facebook and the social media and the newsletter and all that interface, and then also is organizing more of the in-person work. So going to festivals and kind of getting our message out there. The biggest development in the outreach team is the Daisies, like I mentioned, which is the online community, really trying to foster a lot of education. We've noticed a lot of people new to the movement just don't understand basic things like how do communities fund themselves, there's a lot of questions that sometimes people more involved with communities skip over. So we're trying to create more programs for the Daisies next year, and that's a lot of opportunities for you to join. So we have opportunities for a Facebook intern who can do the outreach of creating and sharing posts. That's a great position for people who want to write blogs and want to, share posts. If you already have a rich Facebook network and you can share our posts onto your network, that in itself is a facet of the Facebook intern. And then another one is the messaging intern. We have I don't know if anyone's gotten to enjoy or suffer through our newsletters, but we have a really great format for sending out beautiful newsletters, and we have over 2,000 people who receive them. We're currently built up our network right now to about 2,400 people who are receiving these newsletters and are opening them and reading them. And so it's this next year we really want to start utilizing that amazing community, and having an intern work on those is important. Of course, we have the general bumblebee. That's what Martin is, the bumblebee for in Quebec for NextGen. And we can always use more bumblebees. So that's an always open position. Oh, and then the daisy gardener. And so the daisy gardener is really be someone who's who's also excited about building online education communities, and ready to collaborate more with envisioning what our 2020 program will be. So right now, Becky is kind of leading that design, but we do have space for more people who want to share their ideas. So these are some of our outreach positions, and we'd love to have people on that team. Back to our big circle. You can see I didn't mention it, but in the bottom left part of the outreach is also the Ubuntu network. Right now I'm working on that one, and it's an international network of community folks working on healing in community, led by this wonderfully powerful shaman from South Africa who's holding the space. And but that one doesn't have a lot of opportunities for new folks yet, so I didn't want to spend too much time on it. You'll also see the financial circle at the bottom. We'll have opportunities for that later in 2020, but it's basically, if you're like me and you're a numbers nerd and like managing money, and then later in 2020 we'll have more opportunities with that. But for now, that circle's also kind of taken care of. So we're going to move to the top, which is the Regenerative Community Alliance circle. And so I'm on that circle right now. And this is really cool. Cynthia Tina, who I mentioned earlier as a kind of one of the founders of NextGen, has now moved on and expanded Gen North America. She's, she is a passionate, opinionated, dedicated person. And so she wanted to expand Gen North America to be more of a shared commons for all the communities organizations of North America. So if you are representing a communities organization, this would be great for you to partially be a NextGen rep, but also you could just come and rep your organization. And it's a commons where people can share data. If you have a big communities map, all the organizations can benefit from that. And if you're hosting events, or you have a web platform, or you want to do shared webinars, it's basically just so that all of the incredible community organizations of North America aren't doing everything redundantly. And so we go there every month to represent NextGENNA, who's one of the founding organizations. And I would love to have someone else, starting next year, it would be great to have another NextGen rep come with us, because it's always good to have two people come so that the information gets transferred more completely and not in a biased way. So that's an incredible opportunity to learn about things that are going around North America. All right, the screen share. So now we're in the last section, which is how to join our team. And so I have just the basics is to stay a daisy, right? And so y'all heard about this, whether it was through Facebook or through the newsletter. That is a great way to, if you want to mostly stay, and I kind of say it's like in a receptive role where you most want to be learning about ecovillages and you kind of want to just be receiving the stuff we're sharing and attending ecovillage pathways, that's great. Just go ahead and sign up for our newsletter and follow our Facebook page, and you will stay in the loop on all the projects. If you want to join the team, we have 3 main steps. So first is to come to a welcoming meeting. So, great job. Everyone's already made their first step in joining the team. And this is called the observer phase. And so the observer phase, you come to a welcoming meeting, you attend 1 general meeting and 3 sub-circle meetings. And that's mostly you're there, and we'll be happy to ask your opinion about things. And you won't have voting power, but you will be able to be present and get a feel for which projects you're excited about and where you feel like your skills synergize with our needs, and And it is a spot for you to share around patterns you're seeing. Hey, I think y'all could do better if you did this, or, you know, have you tried this aspect of teal organizations? So you won't necessarily have a lot of mic time, but we're excited to still have you present and hear what you have to say. After you've done the general meeting and the 3 sub-circle meetings, that's when we're ready to design an internship for you. In this case, we already have a lot of internships that we are in need of right now because we're so eagerly growing our organization. So in this case, you could just jump to internship phase. You'd still attend the other meetings. But if you're interested in one of those other internships, I'll show you how to apply. But we also can co-design custom internships that fit your interests and your skills and your time. And that's what we're most excited about. And that's a very sociocratic principle as well. It's kind of we're going to create the roles that are needed and augment them to fit how people can fill them. And once you're an intern, you can have a small stipend. You'll be able to get covered for various trainings. We can give you some supplemental reimbursement for trainings. We can start to cover your travel to the team retreat and your food and lodging during the team retreat and other events, and reimburse you for tickets when you go to a festival and are a presenter. Hopefully you won't actually have prices if you're a presenter. And you'll also get to join other Gen circles. So once you're an intern, you can start attending the, you could be a fly on the wall at other global Gen circles and feel that network. After you do your internship for 3 to 6 months and it goes well, and then we have the chance of moving into core team. And so once you become in core team, that's when you can either fill a role that we need, or you could create a role. At one point when I first joined, I created the role of celebration organizer. So I just felt like the team needed more, like we had to have silly meetings and we had to like wear costumes and remember to dance and remember to just not like, just to be young and laugh a little. Sometimes it got so serious. And so you might find that that's a role you want to create, and you can go through the sociocratic process and create a role. You'll also be able to have all the benefits we mentioned before, plus a voting sway in more of the circles. So that's the process to becoming core team. And just to make it clear again, this slide is next steps. So if in scenario 1, I don't know if everyone can see the screen, that's great. If you can't, I'll kind of describe it. If you're in the spot of being like, I heard an internship that I'm excited about, I want to apply for that internship, that's great. Then you can read a more detailed intern description. I'll be sharing that. If you're interested, let us know and we'll share that with you after this presentation. It'll be up on the website soon, and that's kind of all the more nuanced aspects of each internship. Then the next step is to fill out the form, which you'll also get a link for, which is basically a job or an application form. It's just 5 basic questions. And finally, be ready to attend another meeting. Because that's the biggest thing in NextGen, is you're just gonna have to come to meetings. Like sometimes people are excited about it and then they forget that, showing up on Zoom calls is an important part of being part of this community. So expect to attend another meeting probably later in this month. Next option is if you're like, I want to join the team, but I'm not sure in what way. Like I talked about internships fairly quickly. So one of the first things you could do is just read the internships more detailed or ask questions. But if still none of those internships felt quite right and you don't totally understand how we work yet, you're not sold, then send us an email at NextGEN North America and we can just invite you to more team meetings. And that's a way you'll be just going through the observer phase of the membership, where you'll attend meetings and share your opinion and feel which people and projects you synergize with. And that's absolutely welcome too, and is a good way for us to see, like, if you say that you're going to attend a meeting, do you actually attend it? These are the kind of actions that speak louder than words sometimes, is saying you'll attend a meeting and then coming. So that means a lot to us when we see people do that. Finally, is if you said, I love it, but I just want to learn more about ecovillages, and stay tuned. So that's back to being a daisy, and that's awesome. Make sure you're on our newsletter list. You can find that on the website, and be ready for announcements about webinars, talking groups, and we'd love to see you at Ecovillage Pathways 2020 next year in Belfast co-housing. So that is the presentation. I hope you enjoyed the show. This is all our lovely folks at Leia's community, La Cité Écologique in New Hampshire. Such a stunningly beautiful place, and we had an event there last year. So, all right, I'm going to shift out of screen share, and then for the sake of sociocracy, I'm going to do a round of reactions. Stop share. Okay. And, oh, this is where I can pause. Okay, so now I'm gonna pass the mic to, let's see, so okay, let me explain a little bit more. In sociocracy, an important part of sociocracy to encourage folks to not just have the pattern of like, you know, the people who feel confident about talking always talk. This is a classic pattern. In sociocracy, we can work towards disassembling that by doing rounds where everyone gets the opportunity to share. And if you don't want to share, once again, you can just say pass. And be mindful as you share that if someone else already said what you shared, it's great to just say like, oh, you know, I agree with what Leon said. About yeah, about the fun of working with people who are passionate. Complete. So it's great to be concise with your words and just let people know if you agree with them as opposed to repeating them with new or the same words. Since not everyone knows everyone, I'm going to go ahead and kind of dictate the round. I can see everyone's name here. So this is just a round of, should we start with questions or reactions?
Yeah,
questions. So this is going to be the round of questions. After this round, we'll do a round of reactions, which is like, it made me feel this way. But at this spot, we're more like, I have a logistical question, or I didn't understand this part. So just say pass if you don't have a question, or share if you do.